Okay, so the question on everybody's mind, what can I actually eat on this diet? So we're going to get into the foods you can eat and what you can't eat on the ketogenic diet. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, Steve here, and welcome back to Keto Fasting Life. So one of the things I hear from people all the time is, so what do I actually eat? So I've talked a bit about what ketogenic diet's all about and why it works. But I mean, the science all aside, people really want to know is what foods can I eat and what foods can't I eat? So here you go. So here's a list. I'll run through this and give it to you on the screen and put it down in the description below of some of the foods, the common foods that people like to eat on this diet. This is by no means an exhaustive list. What I recommend you do, if you've got a food that's in question, just go on to Google and type in your food you want and the word macros. If you go to Google search asparagus macros, it'll give you the information you want. Essentially, you're looking for things that are low in carbohydrates and ideally high in fat. Now, there aren't a lot of things that have both those things, but your meals can have that combined. So, for instance, vegetables. Vegetables and fruits. So, fruit, for the most part, fruits, your traditional fruits, the sweet fruits, are out altogether. Too many carbohydrates. But things that are technically vegetables, like an avocado, is fantastic because it's very high in fat and low in carbohydrates. So avocados are great. Any leafy green vegetable you can think of, spinach, lettuce, kale, bok choy, any of those kinds of things, those are great. Cabbage, Brussel sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, green beans to a certain extent, although somebody will disagree with me here, I'm quite sure. Cucumbers, zucchini again to a certain extent, that kind of stuff. Bell peppers, all those things, if you look up the information on those, you'll find that they're low in carbohydrates, lots of fiber and all that kind of stuff, which is great. You don't want to be doing vegetables like just about any root vegetable. So potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, beets, all those kinds of things are out. Those are tuberous root vegetables. Their purpose for the plant is to store carbohydrates and energy, so they're loaded in carbs. So try to avoid those. Winter squash like spaghetti, acorn, butternut, all those tend to be fairly sweet, so I'd avoid those as well. Summer squash, things like zucchini, are okay. They're not bad. So olives, great, other great stuff. So olives are great because they're high in fat. Olive oil, actually. Oh, and obviously the thing I forgot to mention, stop eating grains. No wheat, no rice, none of that stuff. Oats, all those kinds of things are out of the question. So you're not having bread or any of that kind of stuff. Just stick with the veggies, stick with the meats, stick with the fats. You will do just fine. So let's get to talk about meats then. So meat, just about any meat is fine. The difference is from what the traditional diets have taught you is that you want meats that are highest in fat and saturated fat, not the lowest stuff. So forget buying ground chicken and ground turkey and extra lean ground beef. You're now looking for regular ground beef and ground pork. And the fattier cuts of, like for beef, for instance, a ribeye or a tenderloin, which of course are the most expensive ones, but they're also the most delicious and they have the most fat in them, which is great. And stop cutting fat off of things, cook that fat and use it all. Avoid the lean things. You no longer have to buy extra lean ground beef. That made me very happy. Fish is okay, salmon's wonderful. And the problem, not the problem, but the thing with other kinds of fish is a lot of them are not very high in fat, high in protein, but if you only combine that with something else that has lots of fat, don't eat too much of the protein because you remember ketogenic is low carb, moderate protein, and high fats. So just about any meat's okay. But now you're back. Now you can have sausage and bacon. Oh my goodness, so much pork, ground pork, bacon. Bacon's wonderful. Nuts and seeds, for instance, people ask about. So most nuts you're fine with. Almonds, walnuts, pecans, or pecans, however you want to say it. Brazil nuts. Peanuts to a certain extent. Some people disagree with this. I still love my Kraft natural crunchy peanut butter. You just don't eat it by this. Okay, I do eat it by the spoonful, but try not to eat it by the spoonful. Hazelnuts. The one nut you want to avoid is cashews. They're quite high in carbs, so avoid cashews. I know they're delicious, but try to avoid them if you can. Kind of the gold standard in nuts is macadamia nuts. They cost a fortune, but they're extremely high in fat, low in carbs. They are a wonderful nut to have. So other things like dairy, if you have problems with dairy for other reasons, then don't have dairy. But if you're fine with dairy, you can have dairy, but go for the whole fat version. So like for instance, if I want to put cream in my coffee, which I don't very often, but sometimes I do, it's 35% whipping cream. You want to go for that fat. You got to fight that urge. Butter, cheese, yogurts, like if you're going to yogurts, like a Greek yogurt, a high-fat Greek yogurt is good. Those kinds of things. Just be conscious of the carbs. Other things, so oils. So avoid at all possible things that come from like seed and what they call vegetable oils, which don't come from vegetables at all. But canola oil, sunflower oil, those are all things from seeds. They are full of polyunsaturated fats, which you don't want. Forget everything you learned in the last 40 years. You're looking for the saturated fats. You're looking for olive oil. Coconut oil is fantastic if you like coconut oil. If you like the smell, if you like the taste of coconut in everything you cook. Depending on what you're making, coconut may be great, but olive oil is your go-to spot for that kind of stuff. Actually, you know what the strangest thing is? I always used to take, when I cooked bacon, and after I was done, I'd take the bacon fat and I drained it in an old can in the fridge, and when I got full, I put it out for the birds to eat. Don't do that. Bacon fat is now gold, liquid gold. So I now have a container in my fridge where I keep my bacon fat stored, and then from then on, I'll cook with bacon fat as the thing to fry in. Like fried mushrooms in bacon fat, it's spectacular. Give it a try. So that's kind of gives you a run through of the kind of foods you want to be targeting. Again, use Google as your friend. So you type in food and the word macros, you will find out how many carbs you have there. And as I mentioned before, you're trying to keep your carbs as low as possible. For most people, that's certainly under 50 grams a day. 20 grams a day is fantastic. 30 grams a day is quite realistic. Everybody's different, so you got to kind of play with it, but you're trying to keep your carbs as low as possible. So kind of, you don't have to count carbs all the time, but very conscious as you eat something. If you see something and your serving size got 15 grams of carbs, that's half your daily allowance. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope that helps with a list of foods to come, and we'll certainly have lots of recipes coming up to use for these things because I don't know, there's so many options you can do away from the traditional kind of recipes that are great for you, but I'll have some of those up in not too long, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Okay, any questions? Post them down in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, like the video, really appreciate it. We'll see you later.